Sanibonani. Ninjani? Maya siyaphila nathi igama lami ngiNqibho Intalektual. Lamhla sidabe sikhuluma with the enigmatic, the legendary Smiles Makama. I will let Babe Makama introduce himself briefly to you guys.
I just asked Qibho how brief. You know my name now, Smiles Makama. The name Smiles was my pet name. So, but the Swazi government said I must have a Swazi name. So I chose Manza. I'm from Malambaba. Sikhulele khona. Ngakutshela ngusibonga kunanda edolobheni. Lo ngingakwathi nina youth. But anyway, Smiles Makama is known for traditional instruments, and the only band that we had in Swaziland was called the Calabash. As you can see, everything's made out of the calabashes. And we were inspired because we wanted an alternative education. The first band members, they had no access to education, to higher school, And so we decided to build instruments, musical instruments, with the African concept, And we learned from a few elders how to make xylophones. It's like a piano made of wood. And we learned about the drums, of course. And we saw this is a very big program. We collected as much instruments as we can. And we got together. This reminds me of you before, the unemployed people. People who had no chance now what to do. You can't go on, you can't finish your education, your parents are poor, or no personally. So as we were doing that, collecting instruments and sounding them and singing with them, we consulted Netangoma, So we learned music from Tangoma, from Umhlanga, from Segwane, from Ngabaka, anything we can find from Swaziland. We took some songs, extracted the flavors, and just made music, And the next question was, how are we going to make a living? So we were discovered by the Swaziland Trade Fair. So they would feature us every year. And the first time they were seen, Swaziland went mad because they've never seen what we were doing. And then another miracle that happened is that we got discovered by the hotels, like Casino, Holiday Inn, all those hotels in Zurich. I don't know if there was a tourism office in Swaziland, but we became the tourist band, So we got employment, They would fetch us many times. They fetch us to entertain guests in the hotels, and we ended living that way. When all this was happening, we knew that it was impossible to live as a musician in Swaziland. It was almost suicide, But we took it, And the thing grew, and we employed, and then we got tired of the tourism business, because some of us were serious musicians. So we started we were invited in the Market Theatre in Johannesburg, because it's one of the biggest theatres in South Africa, Only for perfect shows. We were invited there with the Calabash band, But we were very successful. All newspaper reviews that were coming to Swaziland were so powerful, you know. Because we had instruments like this, which the world has never seen, you know. The other instruments, the world know about them. So, calabash, when we were building our career, expanding it from Swaziland, the normal thing happened, you know, the problems with the politics in South Africa. Calabash was once, was there when the uprising started in South Africa, in Soweto, student uprising. Calabash was smuggled out of Soweto. There was tear gas all over. You know. They brought us back to Swaziland, and Calabash stayed in Swaziland and just faded off a little bit. So at this time, because I had all the instruments, because I'm an instrument builder just by talent. I like making instruments. So I was invited to Soweto, where there were a band of traditional dancers, but they wanted musical instruments. So they were called Azuma, yeah. So it was my second band that I spent a lot of about 11 years with Azuma. And we went on a world tour and did a lot of things, enjoyed it, we saw the world, you know. And then, now, a long time ago in Swaziland, we formed an organization called Swama. I'm sure all of you have heard Swama.
Which year was this?
Oh, I'm not good with years. But anyway.
70s, 80s, 90s?
80s, 70s, something. So Swama was supposed to answer a lot of things, and I find that this gathering today is part of that, what we wanted to do, because we were asked by the Swazi government to form an organization that they could talk to musicians in Swaziland and other arts. So we formed Swama, but I think after we left Swaziland, Swama did not do its job well. we wanted to build music centers in Swaziland, provide recording studios for all artists, study the marketing business, how it works. We wanted to cater for anybody that's an artist in Swaziland. So, but everything was now when I come back from overseas, I find just the name Swama, you know. Young people are still crying about, they're looking for ways forward, you know, in this difficult career. And so, I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm happy that the name is still there, Swama. Empty and Swama. Just a hangover, yeah. But anyway, I see today, this gathering here, I see Swazi youth. And I'm very pleased to say that you guys, you come on the battle, you know, of your times, you know, of your generation. You know. And I have a feeling that you're going to make it. Because we are able to gather together and talk about your situation, you know. In our days, you could never gather even so much people. So, but now, this is a great promise to me. The first speaker that was talking here, I was listening to him. I was very moved by such a young man who can speak so strong about serious social matters, you know. Very impressive, you know. And I said, okay, if this is the new Swaziland, these are the young people, they are going to uplift, raise the bar in Swaziland very high, you know. Yeah.
Mr. Makama, I heard you speak about how you used to take influences from different types of music as you had begun your musical journey. I'd just like to know that there was one point where you spoke about Tangoma. Yeah. And in a conversation that we had earlier, you had said to me that there were no music schools back when you were starting music. Could you tell us a bit more about that and how taking the influences from the music of Tangoma influenced your sound and the spirituality in it?
Yeah, we did look into the country. We said, oh, what does the Swazis have, musically, originally? Sakanza, what's the one at the Qibho, big drums, they use for sipaka, for dances. Sakanza, what's the corner, emavenge, my friend played here. Sakanza, what's the corner, bo babela bahle bandlule nje ekhaya badlala ngostini bahlabela bathi bolobhonqele bagcoka nje leswati sabukisisa sasikhanza ukuthi khona instrument njengamakhoyana sayithanda le instrument kakhulu ngoba bidlala bomake labasitalayo nabogogo nase-SBS bebahle bayayirekhoda bayidlala ku-radio besisonzela ku-radio uma badlala leto ngoma leto kepha aleso sikhathi kwakwathiwa kangani makhoyana kadlalwa indvodza instrument yabomake bomele sandlula keso stigma ngoba smart siyite ma-press. So we managed to free ourselves from the stigma, And as an instrument builder, I look very deep into what can we do about makhoyane to make. What can we do? How can I expand it? I need more from it. So that's how I come to build this instrument. When I was building it, I didn't know what was going to come out. I just thought, okay, this is crazy, And I say, anyway, it's my craziness. No one gets offended. But it did really surprise me. This is an extension of makhoyane, labo magebetu, music. And so, this is just about the instrument. This instrument, say it's been featured in international albums around the world, and including my album, but it is not known in its own birth country, Swaziland. So it is my intention to, in the near future, to expose it more. I have recorded about 2 albums featuring the instrument itself, but not only Tangoma inspired us. We listen to all music from all over Africa, traditional music, and learned about the instruments they use and all that. So we saw this is a huge thing. This is like a huge university, We have got a long way to go to learn. So when I moved to Johannesburg on a request from Soweto, I kind of where we got the opportunities to travel the world and make music, And the important thing about being an African is to look around, like we looked to find makhoyane. What can we do about with makhoyane? How can we make it better, Until today, when you look at indigenous music of the world, because when I was in Europe, I found the people from Brazil, they play a version of makhoyane, and it is played not only by Swazis, by many tribes. So I find it it just happened accidentally that I make an instrument, sound of Swaziland, that you're not going to find anywhere in the world. Record-breaking, groundbreaking. Because we wanted to bring Swaziland with its own origin and intelligence of music, And that the people who have had the instrument and the recordings, are witnesses of what I'm saying, because of the originality of the music that I make. I've just recorded only 2 albums in my life, but some of them are re-released in Europe because of the quality. The quality is not gqom, it's not hip hop, it's something deeper, where it's mapped up in the world as classified music. And so I'm happy that I've done this as a Swazi person, you know. And a gift to Swaziland, you know. A gift that might die, you know, because our governments and cultural leaders are not, they don't care, you know. They don't care really. This has been 30 years ago we formed Swama, and still nothing happened. The youth is still searching, you know, it's just very difficult, you know. You guys will succeed.
Yeah.
But now, at this time, I'm busy with the project of starting a Eswatini Inter-African Cultural Center, where we want to assemble all musical instruments, have a kind of a center where we can, because Africa is big. When I was in Europe, I saw new African instruments that I never saw when I was here in Swaziland, you know, from other African countries. I learned to play some of the most difficult instruments, like the kora from Senegal, you know, where the djembe come from. So I met more Africans in Europe than here, because in South Africa, in our times, there were no outside Africans. Everything was closed. You can't meet Africans from outside other countries. And so, thanks God that in Europe you could meet Africans, you know. So, from what I'd listened to in Africa, because being an artist includes a lot of listening in your life, listening to different kinds of music. So, I'm actually influenced by all kinds of music, you know. I'm a guitarist. I play windy instruments, keyboards, and lots of instruments, you know. So my influences are unlimited, you know, up to Aborigines from Australia, up to the wild Indians from America, you know, the Navajo. Just like indigenous music, I was given that gift to love it, you know. So it's a big project, you know. So when it comes to innovation, obviously, this instrument, the mother of this instrument is this makhoyane, one makhoyane. You know? And so it is amazing to see that you can take one makhoyane and create a revolution in music, you know. And make it bigger, you know, innovate it, change it, and do a lot of things. Makhoyane is not the only instrument that I like to take into the extremes, you know. I have, I like a guitar, I can play it nice, like my brother was playing here, but you can put effects. You know. And my flute, I put effects, everything I did just wanted to be magical.
Yeah, but could you explain more to us how the Smilophone came about? Did it come through a dream? Did it come through cogitating? Did it come through observation?
I can say, yes, it's really, it's both combination of all, because the dream was there, you know, but at the same time is that I was, it's a very innocent story, to tell you the truth, you know. The Smilophone came completely accidental. I didn't plan it. I was sitting with bamboo, calabashes. Look at Ghana. And I know about where to get the strings. So I was sitting by the fire under moonlight, and I was just sitting there for a week, you know. And something said to me, "Why don't you combine these instruments to get more capability, explore it, you know?" And so I didn't even ask questions. I started constructing the instrument. When it was finished, I was alone. I said, "Oh, they're going to say I'm really mad." So I said, "I said this one is mad." So I said, "Anyway, it's my own madness. I love it." Wow. So when I started to try and play it, I discovered that it surprised me. It was more than what I wanted. You know? So you could bend notes like a synthesizer, you know. You could you could slide metal on it. So I was looking for violin sticks even to make it really bring it out. You know. And then I looked at it and I said, what am I going to call it? I said, Smilophone. My name is Smiles. I didn't like the name. It sounded like a European name. So I thought of many names. Then I said, one of them was like, oh, this is a Swazi synthesizer. And I thought of, okay, it's a push synthesizer. Then I said, oh, it looks like a pyramid, you know. It's a pyramid synthesizer, you know. And it looks like an A, the letter A. I said, oh, alphabetical is A. Amen. You know? So, you know, all this, everything that starts with A. You know? So I said, okay, that's good, you know. I'll tell a story about the A in the future. You know? So I was in South Africa, I thought, oh, A and C. Because it was our times. So I said, I still want to go back on that concept. But the Smilophone itself, I can't say I'm a genius to make it. You know, anybody could have done it. You know, it's just a deep interest. You know, deep interest that gets deeper and deeper and deeper until it came to the Smilophone, because this was, we're looking at Swaziland, not even Africa. What do we have? I find the Swazis are very good. They've got their culture. There's nothing they miss. All these things, you know. So it keeps us together, you know. And this was we had to think of my nje bosisi. Namachita ngala sewanene. Nabo babe ngala. It's just a musical nation. They have everything. They don't need to be added on top. So there came the innovation thing, you know, of which those who were great prophets of music, you know, deep seers in music, they've seen what this instrument is. You know. And it is not incomplete because I still want to make it electronic, you know, so it's incomplete. I'm going to do this in a few months from now. Why I want to make it electronic is when you perform, let's say I've got a big audience, I must be able to modify the sound, make it bigger, you know. And I find that it is very good to play it indoors, indoor concerts like theater clubs, where you have all the building, like helping with the sound. It was nice to play in Alliance Française. It was also nice. Inside, you know. The room was small, but yeah, it was nice. And so that is why I want to. I've got plans, everything is planned, and I'm going to make it electronic. You know. That is when I'm going to do a lot of live performances in Swaziland and abroad. You know. So it is not an instrument. I call it a sculpture also, because it's a piece of art. That's another side of it.
Yeah, in terms of maybe succession, because some of these things we missed as the younger generation coming in, traditional instruments, ukanza uthi, well, indigenous ones, we don't quite know how they look and where they are to be found. But Smilophone nasi sesiyasibona lana. Is there any perhaps desire to pass the baton to the next generation? Yeah,
that's what I'm doing now. If you've been following the media, I've got lots of children learning music, instruments, you know. And the thing has begun already because I'm aware of my age that it is time to pass it on to the younger generation. And there comes in now this Eswatini, Inter-African Cultural Center, where not only the Smilophones we want to bring, but we want to bring an awareness to the Swazis of Swaziland and a wider Africa. And these things here can turn into a career. You can, yeah. make a living out of them in the future. But it's also for the place that we are designing with a friend of mine who's here actually. We're dreaming it up, you know. We want to build this center, you know. It is just in time and it is late, you know. Because when I was doing research in Swaziland, I found that there is this version of makhoyane which has gone extinct. I meet white people that are studying makhoyane, they're PhDs. They come to Swaziland to try and find this instrument. No. They came to me too. I said, no. I did build that makhoyane, but I couldn't play it. It was called Qibho. You know? So when a country wastes itself this way and just flush all these wonderful things, they have no identity in the world, you know. Today, I can take this to Johannesburg, anywhere in the world and play it. People will bow down to Swaziland. It's how do you think? Where you get a mind to think like this, you know? So I'll tell them whatever I like. We are smart, we're very clever. We're a clever race. You know? So, identity, to have an identity. But innovation is a thing that is related to anything that you do. You can expand it. Anything. There's no limit. You know? The moment you think, how can I make this better? According to your career and your technical, your whatever education, you can take things very far. There is always space to grow, you know. There is always space. Personally, collectively, in every way, you know. Just, you can take your t-shirt, you can innovate it. You can take your shoes, you can innovate them, you know. I happen to take the makhoyane. It has been a really nice adventure. Except that today is not a performance. When I perform, I like to have an orchestra of like marimba, African pianos, everything, drums and everything, dub, dance, it's unlimited. But like today was it's my first time to experience this wonderful thing. Nothing can build us all of here, the country, unless we have this kind of conferences where we can talk to each other, you know, because when we talk to each other, when we come together, you know, as a nation, we grow together. You know, I'm exposed to you today. You didn't know about me, you know, but I'm one of your elders in music, you know, in Swaziland, with high credentials of creativity. You know? Yeah. And another message I like, I don't say that, because when we play this music, when we started, many Swazis complained, they said we are taking them backward. We are uncivilized. We're just savages, you know. They really did not like us. They say we are too much backdated. These things that we are doing are out of date now. They talk about the new world, you know. What are we doing? We face those kind of things, you know. So the more we got into this music, the more people say we're really they throw us away. They say, no, you'll never change. You're just an original savage. You'll never get civilized.
Yeah.
And so when the manager of the band in Soweto was a professor at Wits University. So he gave us one of the old buildings in the university for practicing. And then one day he organized all the music professors from the university to ask them if are we musicians or just a bunch of savages. They wanted, our manager was not so sure about our intelligence, you know. He thought these boys, you know, they are primitive, you know. Are they real musicians? Can they make it in the world? The professors, they told him, don't disturb this project. They are good.
Mr. Makama, you mentioned quite several times that you traveled the world, you saw the world when you were with the band and by yourself. And with most of my peers, contemporary peers, we have had this thing about a prophet is not honored in his hometown, and there's always this push to go overseas. Could you tell us about your experiences overseas and what ultimately led you back ekhaya?
To tell you the truth, the group that I worked with in Joburg, where it all started, Azuma, we recorded one album. And when the album came out, it turned out that all the songs composed by Smiles Makama. Obviously, they fetched me for the music, because they were just dancers, you know. But anyway, Azuma, there were two bands in South Africa. One called Amapondo from Cape Town, which I played with sometimes. Amatkosa, you know. They played similar music, you know. And then there was Azuma, was in charge of Johannesburg, Gauteng, what we call Gauteng today. And while we're doing that, going higher and higher and higher as a band, there came some very rich people. Most of you have never heard of Ipintombi. Ipintombi was a collection of the best dances from South Africa, the best traditional music, and it taught the world many, many years. You know. So the band was the band was put into this musical. You know. That is how we saw the world the most. You know, because everything was paid for. It was so easy for us. We went to many, many countries, and so when the musical was finished, I had taken a lot of instruments to Europe. So I just took my instruments and just go on playing a record. And the only other thing about Europe is that you cannot find your people like a Maswati. Because my music is Swazi structured. So I was very disappointed because I wanted to make a band there, but Africans themselves don't understand each other. They speak different languages, you know. Some are from English background, some are from French background, some are from Italian background. You know. So we couldn't even have a meeting, you know, like this. And so, and I Swati kuthiwa skoon lesivutha sodwa asinamlilo. Mahlangene netikuni kusukumela ngabe. The fire is bigger. So to try and be Europe and be alone, it is a very dangerous thing. Unless you are very, very, very good. You see. And even if you are very, very, very good, there is Michael Jackson's there, Bob Marley's there, there's big things happening there. Who are you? You know? So you end up getting respect from your audience. Because in the world there's people who love different types of music, you know. So you get your own audience. But I can say myself, confidentially, I was not afraid of Europe, you know. I could have gone higher and higher and higher and higher. I lived in Europe before it was called Europe, when it was divided. So I saw it come together and everything. There's a lot of potential. Sometimes I was invited to open concerts for big African stars like Salif Keita, you know. And it was quite an honor, you know. And at the same time, I saw a lot of African people in Europe, musicians, who were stuck. I'm talking about being stuck, you know. So I also saw musicians that come from Africa, play, take the money, go back to Africa. Those are the best ones, you know. So I was one of those musicians that want to stay there, you know. So you have to find ways, you know, because unless you can raise yourself and become a big star overnight overseas, this is a very difficult challenge, you know. So I did make a living there, you know. I was playing sometimes, getting well paid, you know, like thousands a concert, you know, alone, not even with a band, you know. So I had advantage here and there, you know. But why I left Europe, because Europe changed. There was a time when you come from Africa, come please, here's a house, everything, you know. Here's a job. But Europe changed in front of me. They don't want people there anymore. It's too full. The people from other poor European countries, they come to the rich places like London, Holland, and all that. It's full. So I took my time. I didn't bother myself about organizing citizenship in Europe. I wasted my time because I was so good in music. Everyone loved me. I thought, I'll do it just in the future. When I try to do it, I find they've closed everything. Regardless of whether you stay 30 years in the country, you're out if you don't have papers. So I stayed there and I realized that, I can't stay in a country where I have no rights. They want to steal my music, steal this, steal everything, and I can't go to any courts. I'm just illegal. You know? So I packed my bags. I have a lot of instruments in Europe, because in Europe we have shops where you can buy every African instrument. You know, that is why here we want to form a center for Inter-Africa Center to be able to have all these things here. You know, because I saw more of Africa in Europe. I should have seen it in Swaziland. You know. This is not impossible because African countries now are connected. We've got aeroplanes. We can fetch things up to Egypt. We can fetch our culture and bring it in one place. You know, whereby people from all over the world would come to Swaziland. We build even the pyramids of Africa, where civilization started. We buy things from Egypt. You come here and teach the black people who they really are, who are their ancestors. Beautiful. You know. So we got big plans, you know. This planet, this is a pyramid synthesizer. So actually, my dreams for Swaziland are unlimited, you know, to establish something really beautiful in this country in terms of even tourism, you know. We've got ideas. If you travel the world and you are really a good observer, you know, you can bring great things home, great ideas. You know. So I come back here with like super ideas, you know. But I did not come to perform anymore because of my age, you know. I come to develop the youth, if possible, in my last years, you know. So I'm speaking of a center. I do it now at home, yeah, few youth, but I had to make it really big, you know, because of my love for it and African art, you know. Yeah.
Mr. Makama, thank you for that. One of the topics of the conference of Vukubone was intellectual property. And we had a panel of copyright experts. And could you perhaps share with us the importance of of protecting the rights to your music? And have you had any adverse experiences?
Yeah, I've had, when I was in Swaziland, when we recorded the first album with Calabash, it was banned in South Africa, right? Banned. You know, because we didn't combine African instruments, sing about potatoes. No. We sang about what was going on. Our first album was banned in South Africa. I was deported from South Africa before the cover was made. So the people who make the cover, they put the ANC flag. Yellow, black, and green. So the album was, they didn't even want to see it. You know. So it was aborted. You know. The second album, did in Joburg, is also a very good album, strategic, very activism. You know. Yeah, activism albums. And so, what was the question again?
Have you experienced any detrimental effects of not protecting your music?
So what we did with the Azuma album, we went to Samro. That's where they register your music, everything. So what I did, because I was composing for the band, Samro said to me, look here, Smiles, don't worry. maybe music is too complicated to write. Just write the lyrics and a few chords, melodies, bring it to us. We will protect it. So, of course, when the album was released, we started to receive royalties, you know. We go every year to collect money from Samro. And I left South Africa, so the boys carried on just taking the money. But I think because of New South Africa, the album faced problems, the Azuma one now. They released it in France now. France is released. They called me last year, they said we are re-releasing the album, which was quite a nice thing. And so, yeah, my experience with music rights and everything, it's possible to protect yourself. But once you have your music together or whatever, it's very important to kind of patent it or protect it somehow. So thanks God there's a STEMRA, you know. Swaziland could have a branch of STEMRA, you know. Or we could train our own students that can master the process of that process. In Europe, they have something called STEMRA. Also, after composing in Europe, I went to STEMRA, register everything. And actually, people try to steal it after, but STEMRA told them, no, we know that music is from Smiles, you can't take it. So I was smart in that way, that today it is possible, really. Today, these kind of rights are taken care of, you know. Even if you are not educated, if you are a good Zulu, Maskandi artist, the administration will take care of it, you know. So you don't have to fear so much about that. But it is always, always important to think of protection. Yeah, protect your work, because, yeah, like this work, maybe somebody from Japan sees this, they go and build it better. And they say it's from Japan, you know. So this instrument itself, I'm looking for authorities in Swaziland that can register this design and take it very, very seriously and patent it so that anybody that copied this instrument in the world, they should not tell them, hey, we know this instrument from Swaziland, you know. Because if we don't do that, that's how intellectual property gets lost, you know. It's a huge loss, you know. It's a huge, huge loss. Because in the world, not everyone is foolish, you know. There are people who are really looking at cultural qualities of a country, a state, you know. So when they look to Swaziland, they look, and they find these kind of things. They say, those people are great, you know.
Yeah, but Nami, I don't want to keep you to myself. Angvulele, the audience, because I'm sure they have burning questions to ask you. So questions are now open to the floor.
What's up? I guess my question could go for both of you guys, given you guys are like two different generations, and I come a third. So I just wanted to find out, like, what's the relationship between age and inspiration? Like, does it mature or does it die out? Is there a point where you can lose creativity? Or is it something that you will always have?
Yeah, it is. It happens like a miracle of life. That you have something and you find that maybe generations of your family there was someone like you. But like I'll speak a good example with Senegal. There are people that play the instrument called a kora, and which I love very much. It is very highly classified in the world of music, you know. I tried to play it also for 10 years. And you can't go to school to learn the instrument. You learn it from your father, grandfather, generations of the family. So your inspiration comes straight from the family, you know. But maybe by watching the member of the family that's playing the instrument, you know. So you draw inspiration right from your family. And but there are many ways of developing creativity. You're not just born with it. There is something they call talent, you know, where you show symptoms of ability of doing something, of playing an instrument, you know. So creativity is both. You can be born with it. You can initiate yourself. into it. And yeah, I think I've said enough. You can like these people in Senegal, they're inspired by their family. You know, I'm inspired by my creativity is inspired by many sources, including Swazi. So that's why I say earlier on, I'm not a genius or anything, but I'm just draw inspiration from many, from Swaziland, from out of Swaziland, and far, far away. All I do is when I come to people who are doing something good, I try to learn it. That's all. It doesn't matter where. You know. I take the facts. You know. I went to India, I take the facts from India. Come to Swaziland, I take some facts from there. So my inspiration sources are unlimited. You know. But you can be born creative, yeah, right.
No, thank you, Smiles. Mine is to ask if the young people, the youth of Eswatini, would like to work with you so that lokulosokwendile kungalahleki kuchubeke nakibo. How can they contact with you? Are you open to collaborating with the youth? Are you open to working on different genres?
That's why we are starting this center. We are working right on top of it. Of course, we're going to need a lot of sponsorship for it, you know. And this center, it rises out of my concern for the youth, for guidance, so they can be a place where they can go to and grow, you know, without searching the streets or getting frustrated on what to do next, you know, including all the music business and the rights of music, of art and everything, you know. And also I would advise the youth to search their spirituality, you know, because those are the three pillars of me, and also while you do your careers, while you do everything, also try to look inside yourself, who is sitting there. And me, my contacts, since I'm still alive, my contacts very easy. I'm on Facebook, I'm everywhere, you know. I don't like so many people to know me, but I like to be worth knowing. Worth knowing. So as being here, it's like sitting with one of your ancestors, you know. And lucky that he's still here. Many of my friends passed on, you know, many of them, you know. And while I'm here, it is an amazing thing to witness, you know, because in the future, my work will also grow bigger, you know. And it would be nice for you to say, oh, I know him, I saw him. I saw him talk one day. Yeah, and it is historical, it is just incredible. For me, I can tell you, reflect back to you that you are the people that are going to make things happen, you know. You know why? Because you're so motivated, you know, and young, and the time allows you to be great, you know. Unlike us, we're beating about the bush, you know. Swaziland was not so well developed, not so well, still a lot of development necessary. So many questions are not answered. But it's going to get there, and you are the guys that are moving it. I can see, I can smell it, you know, I can feel it, you know. I've been back for 8 years in Swaziland, and I see, oh, the youth is very, very active, you know. And I get afraid, because maybe in our times we're not so active. But I see, I know today, I say the first person who was speaking here today, Mr. I was very impressed just listening to him to think, oh, this man looks younger than me, and he's so motivated, so strong, you know, so intelligent, you know. These are the people, these are the future ministers of Swaziland, you know, who are so, they've got the oomph, you know, the food, you know. This is the youth, this is the final generation. It's not the final one, but very, very fortunate, you know? Extremely fortunate. People like me have nicknames like BBC, born before the computer, you know. Oh, who are you? I'm BBC. I don't know how it works. So, but you are a generation born with computers. You know? When I was growing up, there was no television. You know? There was like one little radio that we gather around and listen to a story at night. You make the pictures in the head, you know. So, what a fortunate generation you are. You're connected to the whole world. So the possibilities now are great, you know, great possibilities. You know, no one's beating about the bush. Even we BBC, we post on Facebook. You know, we know a little bit about it. So what a nice world to be in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one last question here. Oh, it's not the last one, yeah. I mean, creativity doesn't stop. I think you are writing music. Well, the question is, are you writing new music at the moment? And what is the plan for this?
Yeah, all the time. That is why I said earlier on that I want to make this instrument not only electronic for the noise, but because of abstract. So once I do that, I'm going to be available. You're going to hear a lot about me, playing in schools and many venues around Swaziland, and also while developing the cultural center, because I would like to establish something that will last forever in Swaziland. I'm sorry, I get lost. Answer your question.
Are you making new music? And what's
Oh
the
yes,
plan with
yeah.
it?
I am actually. I've been working on tracks of this instrument because there are two people that can fall very much in love in life, and you start wondering how is it possible. This instrument it's got its lava, whatever. I was working with a white body boy, Swazi, but he's moved to France now, you know. And he played that instrument, you know. It was amazing, just the sound of it and that. It's just so beautiful. Eh? I couldn't follow, he's a jazz musician, I couldn't follow him properly. Because we Africans we are rhythmic. You know.
Yeah.
But still, we could do a 1 hour performance. With me, I didn't understand him completely, what he was doing. It was a bit too classical for me. But the sound of these two instruments is just romance. So, I always, if I do a show, I feature this instrument and that instrument. We would like to do a little bit of that today, but today is not a band because it was difficult to replace the boy that went to stay in France, my friend. It has been very difficult to replace him because the Swazi youth, not only Swazi youth, but the generation, you know, they've got too much. It's an advantage, but they've got too much. And to me, I feel that they've started on step 2 and left all the step 1. You know. The step forward. But step 1 is very important. If you're an African, try to understand your Africanism first. You know, see its wisdom, see its beauty, everything. You know, not to become racist, but just to know yourself. You know, and when you do that, because now the youth is, I can't say they are lost. They've got their own time and generation, but they have to look to people like me, if possible. You know, I wish there was lots of me. You know, so and study them because it is a way of self-identity. It's happening already. See, out Kogema here, we wear African clothes. We do a lot of things already about what I'm saying. But I'm saying that there is a lot in Africa that you should look at, you know, while we're looking at the whole world, you know. You should not jump Africa and go and look at other, you know. Because now we have a Swazi, but it's not really Swazi, it's in America. You have a Swazi, but it's not really Swazi, it's something else. You know? So, it's like not to say, let's leave the progress that has been done by people of the world, you know. And, but we should also take the step one and to look at what we have. What we have, where we come from, you know. And ultimately we come from a very powerful civilization, you know. Look at those pyramids in Africa. You've been to school, you know, the civilization started in Africa. It's what I learned from school. But look, go and look and that civilization, look at it. Because it's saying something to you. We have words like Amen. It's from Africa. Our kings were called Amen Re, Atum Re, Amun. See, so it is a very interesting history. And then also psychologically, it's very good because you become proud of your history. Because otherwise, there is this inferiority complex. Inferiority complex amongst Africans, you know. So, but if you study Africa and find that civilization started with us, then you feel better psychologically. You feel, oh yeah, it's not new for you to be clever. You've been there for your ancestors were smart. You built the pyramids.
Wow, thank you very much, Smiles Makama. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wrap up. Our time is up. Also, we have to catch this beautiful sunset over there. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much, Smiles Makama, for sharing your wisdom with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Antidote Foundation Vukubone Music Conference 2022.